This is Chichen Itza, built by the Maya civilization in around 600 AD. The site was a major regional center of what is now Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. The northern part of this region is extremely arid and has no overground rivers. But there are a couple of large sinkholes here, which is where the site's name comes from. Chichen Itza means at the mouth of the well of the Itza tribe. Being such a dry region, rain was extremely precious, and the rain god for the Mayans was treated with great reverence. According to both Mayan and Spanish sources dating from before the Spanish conquest of the region, pre-Columbian Mayans used the well, or synod, as a place of sacrifice. Both humans and objects were hurled into it in order to worship the Mayan rain god, Cha. The cenote is a large cup-shaped depression with steep walls, over 20 meters down to the water's surface and about 60 meters across. It wasn't actually used for water. This came from other, more convenient cenotes and some artificial wells. But in times of drought, humans were flung into its depths, although there were complicated rituals and beliefs surrounding these sacrifices, one of which was that the victims did not actually die, but were just never seen again. In the early part of the 20th century, the sacred cenote was dredged by the American consul, Edward Thompson, who discovered gold, jade, pottery, and incense within. He also found human remains bearing wounds consistent with human sacrifice. Over the years, there has been considerable revision by archaeologists regarding the decline of Chichen Itza. It is now considered that it fell around AD 1000, and the Yucatan rulership was later relocated to Mayapan. During this period, the population declined and new construction ceased. The site was never completely deserted, however, and the sacred cenote was still considered a place of pilgrimage. 500 years later, in 1531, the Spanish conquistadores attempted to claim the site and make it the capital of Yucatan. But the plan failed when Mayan natives revolted and forced them to withdraw. The roof of the world. This is the Himalayan peak of Mount Everest in Nepal, the highest mountain in the world, as measured by its height to the summit above sea level. One of the earliest and most noted climbers to attempt the ascent was George Mallory, who in 1923 was asked why he wanted to climb Everest. He responded with the now much-quoted line, "Because it is there." Along with his associate, Andrew Irvine, Mallory disappeared on the North Ridge route in 1924. But in 1953, the mountain was finally conquered on a 9th British expedition led by John Hunt. On the 29th of May, New Zealander Edmund Hillary and Sherpa Tenzing Norgay hit the summit at 11:30 a.m. local time. Since that day, there have been many more successful ascents of the imposing mountain, but there have also been many failures and tragedies. Up until 2006, there had been 3,050 ascents with 203 deaths. And because of the treacherous conditions, most of those corpses are still where they fell, often visible from the climbing routes. The most infamous day in the history of the mountain was the 11th of May 1996, when 8 people died. Another 7 people died during that year's season, making it the deadliest to date. 4 of the dead in the so-called Everest disaster were from an expedition led by the Adventure Consultants. 1 was the guide from the Mountain Madness group, and 3 were members of the Indo-Tibetan Border Police Force. The deaths led to questions about the commercialization of Everest. For Sir Edmund Hillary, though, there has been only acclaim and many other successful adventures. He's been honoured many times, including the knighthood he was granted in 1953. He is also the only living New Zealander to appear on a banknote, and schools, streets and organisations in New Zealand have been named after him. And on the 50th anniversary of his and Norgay's ascent, he became the first foreign national to be made an honorary citizen by the Nepalese.